start with that last play-by-play clip. I really thought it just personified everything that Spider basketball has been, wants to be, can be, and should be. The guys diving on the floor after the ball, Chandre Jones drawing defense to him, finding the right man, and Trey Davis knocking down a three with the bench standing up right behind him. That's one of those basketball gods will say that shot's going in no matter who takes it. I think like the babies in the baby race could have shot that ball, and because of the hustle of the Spiders, the basketball gods were going to make that shot go in.
Yeah, you're right about that. I thought Quan, as you had mentioned, had gotten on the floor, and then TJ really made a great diving play and he could tip it right to Chandre. And I thought Chandre's drive really did attract the defense to kick it out for Trey. So that really is a good play. I think that made it go from 7 to 10, I believe. But it certainly felt like that was the shot that really gave us complete control of the game, and from there we didn't really look back necessarily. But yeah, I think that's the kind of effort and energy you're looking for, and it happens during the course of the game. It doesn't necessarily always happen and go your way and lead to a three, but when it does, I think there is a high percentage of that shot going in, and that was a big play. And it's the kind of thing where you can high five everybody on the play, because everybody had a little bit of a part to do with it, and Trey gets the benefit of the open shot that he knocked down, and a really, really big play and momentum shifter for us.
It probably would have happened anyway, but how much would you say it came as a result of Thursday's practice, which was so high energy? I watched it courtside at the Robins Center, and there was a loose ball drill and a take a charge drill, the kind of drills that you normally reserve for preseason that you threw out there Thursday after the Mason game with guys diving all over the court, and lo and behold, there it happened in the game Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. I had said after the game, I thought Thursday's practice was as good of a practice in my time here, and I'm sure there are other times and seasons and days where we had very good practices, and this wasn't fresh in my mind. But to not come into the gym and have the guys feeling sorry for themselves or moping around, but to come in and there be high energy, guys really attacking anything they were doing before practice. And then the practice was just really off the charts in terms of the intensity, the competitive, the physical nature of it. I just thought it was great. And I don't think anybody felt good Wednesday, but I think we all were able, as coaches, go home Thursday feeling really good and very positive and very proud of having these guys to work with and energized, because, as much as a loss can take out of you, that effort and energy and togetherness can really energize you, and it definitely did, and I think it showed on Saturday.
I thought the guys actually enjoyed that drill. I know it's very demanding. It sounds demanding. It looks demanding. Diving on the floor, maybe getting some knee burns out there, taking the charge, helping your teammate up. It even looked like a football drill. I mean, you even had the reserves standing back behind the offense like you would see a football team practicing, kind of gave it that energy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it's something that we do, like you said, you do those things a lot in the preseason. You try to set a tone and have an understanding when the ball's on the floor, it has to be yours, and you have to give your effort, and all of those things. And not that it's not important to do during the season. It's just, there are other considerations, and time and your energy and your bodies are one of them. And so I thought just the way the guys attacked it. You could have a drill and not do it to a high level, and then it doesn't mean quite as much. But the guys really attacked it, and again, they just carried the day with that practice and led right into Saturday. But that was really something that just made you feel really positive and really good, and that they were invested and ready to go, and they're not going to let themselves be down.
The other big story of the UMass game, obviously, the Spider defense. UMass shoots just 30% from the field. So we set a season low, 53 points. You hold one of the league's leading scorers, Trey Davis, to just 4 points, 0 for 11 from the field, 0 for 6 from three-point range. And certainly the big story of the defense, Chris, was your changing defenses using the 3-2 zone. I know our fans are interested to hear. There go all the email questions, too, because every email question was about playing the 3-2 zone. What made you play it as much as you did, and why was it so successful for a defense that you guys really hadn't used throughout the year?
Well, in 11 years, you're just ready to roll the dice, and just see what happens.
You're not all that set in your ways, are you?
Right. Well, we've worked on it a lot, and part of I would say part of my reluctance to change defenses in general. There's probably two reasons. I'd say, we really want to be committed to being good at what we do, and for most teams that's man-to-man. Ours is a little bit different take on man-to-man defense, but you have to have really a strong base of what you're trying to do, and we work very hard at it. And there have been different times where we've been able to struggle somewhat on defense and quote unquote fix it and move and get better and better and better. And then I think the second thing is we make a lot of adjustments within our defense, and that's kind of what we think is the strength of it, that we might see a play 4 times, we might guard it 4 different ways. And so even though it might be the same matchup zone defense, we have a lot of flexibility within it. Having said that, we just haven't been good enough on defense this year, and we've worked hard at this 3-2 zone and to see if it could just change the momentum of the game at times, or the pace of the game. And we played it a few possessions against Davidson. We played it a few possessions against George Mason. We played it one time against St. Bonaventure, and we just said we need to play it not when things are going poorly. We need to play it when things are going well. And when we had the opportunity, we decided to try it. And it was Dion and Trey were in there, who are, no surprise, our 2 best zone defenders as well as they are 2 best man-to-man defenders. And it did seem to slow down UMass, and they seemed to be probing. They seemed to just trying to figure it out rather than just trying to attack us. And I think it built on itself. I think that we had some success. We were willing to call it a little bit more. The guys get more comfortable in it, more confident in it. And then from there we would have played. I don't know the exact number, but I would say it was probably about 20 possessions or so, and it really gave us a good shot in the arm.
Is that something that our guest tonight, Calvin Hunt, would know the answer?
I don't know that he knows it right now.
Is that not quite in his domain, but...
Yeah, I don't even know it now. That's
we'll find out here in a little bit. Calvin's going scurrying to his computer right now to try and figure that out. Again, our special guest tonight, take you behind the scenes this evening. Calvin Hunt is our video coordinator, but does a lot more than that with our analytics and statistics. And then Steve Thomas is one of our director of basketball operations, joined us from Virginia Tech this year. So they're 2 newcomers to Coach Mooney's staff. We know our fans like to go behind the scenes from time to time, so we're doing that with our guys tonight. 622-0950 is our number. Spider SportsLine at richmond.edu, at Spider Voice on Twitter. We'll get to Ivan in a couple minutes. Any other calls, we'll take them. Lines are open. 622-0950. A couple more points on the 3-2 zone. Chris, is it truly always 3-2? There were times the other night that it looked like it morphed a little bit into almost a 1-3-1, primarily because you had either Trey or Dion up there on the top of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think, I would say it did somewhat. I think, in everything we do defensively and to an extent on offense, we give Trey and Dion a lot of latitude in how they want to defend, how they feel it's best to defend something. And, by doing that, they can throw some indecision into the offensive player, And so, yes, we decided that we were going to let those guys put a little bit of pressure on the ball when they could. Dion, I think, with his length, can really has a way of playing right in between the 2 guys who are trying to pass the ball to one another and make that a difficult pass. I think it morphs a little bit. But one thing is, our matchup zone defense probably started as a 1-2-2 years ago, and then the more and more teams ran their man-to-man offense against it, the more and more we reacted to it with man-to-man principles. So we don't want it to morph quite as much as that. We want to have it be a zone and not be chasing teams around quite as much.
Sound like Bill Raftery there. It's a zone with man-to-man principles. Yeah. Now, not to take the air out of the balloon here, but I would imagine UMass had prepared about 0 minutes for the Richmond Spiders playing a zone defense. So it was great because it certainly threw something at them they hadn't seen. That tape will certainly get out and get around. How do you deal with it moving forward? I'm obviously not asking you to give us the St. Louis game plan, but that certainly would be out there and in your thinking, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a big advantage, and that to the number of times we played it. But yes, I think that teams are going to have a zone attack, and they're going to try to do what they do against zones. And I feel like it's not so much just something where we have an expectation of holding teams down. Really, when you play a zone, there's a bit of a concession that you're going to give up a shot, and you hope it's not a good shot. You hope it's a contested shot, but there's somewhat of a concession that you're playing an area, and if they can get a shot from a little bit farther out, they'll take it. So, but what we've talked about is making it change up how they try to attack us, and we've done it somewhat a little bit with how we guard ball screens and maybe trapping the guy coming off the ball screen, all of those things. But we hope this can make teams slow down a little bit and probe a little bit more rather than just attack us, even if they're not being successful. They're attacking us and getting a little bit used to what we're doing.
All right, last point real quick, because it is fascinating stuff. Out-rebounded them 42-36. Normally in a zone, and I know you weren't in it the whole game, normally in a zone it's harder to rebound, isn't it, defensively, to find a man to box out, right?
Yeah, it is, because you don't necessarily have a guy, and there are more holes. I think we've never been a great offensive rebounding team, but I would say against a zone we've been a good offensive rebounding team, and that's something that we talk about a lot is there are second shots. So I would say the biggest thing was Terry had a great rebounding game, and I think that the ones that were out of his area or 50-50, I feel like he but I felt like he came up with cleanly, and that when you see a guy collecting 3-4 consecutive rebounds, it also it makes you not quite as willing to commit to go in there because you're not as confident you're going to get it.
Absolutely. That raises another question, but I'm going to hold it because Ivan's on hold. We want to get to him. We'll have more time on the back end of the show to discuss it a little bit further. All right, Ivan, thanks for calling, 622-0950. Other lines are open if you'd like to dial up and talk with Coach. Ivan, hello.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Coach. How you both doing tonight?
Doing well, Ivan. Thanks. How are you?
Great. Well, first, congratulations on a great team victory you had on this past Saturday night. I certainly hope you'll keep using that defense because I think, the more you use it, I think the more comfortable your players are being. I think it's really going to tie up a lot of opponents where they won't know what to do.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I agree. I think that we need to commit ourselves to it. And again, I think a lot has to do because we've almost exclusively played our other defense. The guys, they need to feel confident and ownership in playing this defense, and see some good things happen like they did on Saturday. So I feel like we are committed to it, and hopefully it will. I don't think it's always going to provide us with what it did on Saturday, but I do think that it can give us a little bit of a change of pace and a little bit of teams being out of sync to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious. Well, in this week's game against St. Louis, what can you tell us about? I know this game against St. Louis is really a game that you need very much on the road. What can you tell us about them and Fordham, who I think you're playing on Saturday night?
Sure. Well, St. Louis is a pretty good young team. They went up to St. Bonaventure and played a really good game against St. Bonaventure, who was coming off a win at St. Joe's, and they had been playing great. They have played some younger guys, but one thing about St. Louis, and ever since Coach Majerus was there, their effort is among the best in our conference. Their defense and attention to detail defensively is always at or near the top of our conference. Excuse me. So that every time you play against them, it's going to be physical. They're going to be very, very aggressive. They are going to play defenses as well as any team can play man-to-man defense. So they have some guys who can score. They've been playing a lot of a four-guard lineup recently. But really it's going to be very important for us to be able to handle the pressure that they try to put on you defensively.
I really think, going back to this past Saturday's game, I think the crowd really helped the team a lot, and I think the more sellouts we get at the Robins Center, I think the more the team is going to feel like the fans are really behind them.
I had mentioned after the game. I think for our administration and our fans, everybody there's a lot that goes into it and a great plan and great marketing. But when we have the Robins Center like that, it's just great. Really, since the renovations, the home court advantage has been incredible, and I really thank everybody who's involved in helping us generate that, especially the fans, because that is just a great environment and a great place to play college basketball, and a place where you really can feel terrific about representing the school.
Hey, Ivan, the fans here want to know when you're coming to a game at the Robins Center.
I hope one of these days, Julian and I'll get a chance to come out there one of these days.
You let me know, and we will have 2 tickets waiting for you, okay?
You have my word on it, Bob. Thank you.
Thanks, Ivan. Thanks. Right, everybody want Ivan to come to a game and cheer on the Spiders, so we're going to try and make that happen. Let's take one more before the break, and then Calvin Hunt, Steve Thomas will join us up here at the head table. Frank, thanks for waiting. You're on with Coach Mooney.
Hi, Coach.
Hey, Frank, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. My wife and I are 25-year veterans of season tickets.
Oh, wow.
We've enjoyed your coaching.
Thank you.
And your games. One thing I'd like to ask you, I got a couple questions. When are you going to play that 6'11", the tallest man on your team there?
Paul Frenchu. Actually, Paul played a little bit earlier in the year, and I feel like he's really doing well. I think sometimes with bigger guys, it can take a little bit of time to develop. But Paul's working hard. I think that he's getting a better and better feel for just playing college basketball. We're pretty demanding of our big guys because we ask them to make decisions and play on the perimeter and as well as play inside. I think he's able to learn from TJ and Terry. And you're right. I feel like he's right there. He's right there, and we need to get him in the game and get some experience. But we're really pleased that we have him here for another 3 years after this season, and I think the more time he could play this year, that could really benefit him as we go forward.
I think you're going to be hurting next year because, with your 2 or 3 good rebounders are gone, and I don't see anybody else coming on that's tall enough to fight these giants.
Yeah, no, you're right. And Paul, I think we're really confident in him, and I feel like he'll be somebody who's really ready to step up. And I don't think he's that far off, even though it might seem that he's not getting off the bench. I don't think he's that far off.
Okay. The other question I have: when you have a 25, 30-point lead with 4 or 5 minutes to go, especially at the Robins Center, why don't the subs get in and play more? I would think that it would give them more enthusiasm in practice, even though some of them might be walk-ons and some of them scholarship. I would think it would benefit them, and it seems like when you do get them in, the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah. I feel like we have done that, to be honest with you. I would have to go back and look, but I feel like we have put those guys in, and as a matter of fact, I think we put guys in too early at times. I remember last year we were playing St. Louis in the last home game, and I think we were up 12 with a little under 4 minutes. Everybody was screaming for Zach Chu, and
you hear that stuff, huh?
Well, on that night, everybody was there. We could have lost that game by 16, I think, if we had put Zach in. But no, I feel like we have. So if we haven't, that's something that has been important to me, and I'd like to look back if I can. But I feel like we have put those guys in and gotten those guys opportunities to play. And if we need to do that more, then hopefully we'll have chances to do that here with big leads at the Robins Center. But I feel like we have, and if we haven't, that's something we need to address.
I was just saying, if I had my son or somebody that I knew had a son on the bench, and you got a 25-point, 30-point lead, it would just, I think it would do better for the guys practicing, and maybe they go all out and don't care. But I just wondering why they don't play more.
Well,
not when you got a 12-point lead, because that can change with a 3 or 4 3-pointers all of a sudden. You know, the other team gets hot.
Frank, more often than not, unfortunately, our scores have been 12.
Talk with you, take my
not 20 or 25.
call, and I'll see you Saturday.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate your support and being a long-time season ticket holder. Take a time out. Steve Thomas, Calvin Hunt up next. Go behind the scenes with Spider basketball when we continue from Joe's in Bon Air, Spider SportsLine on ESPN 950, Sports FM 100.5, and the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Have you been dreaming about a new deck, screen, porch, or room addition? Make it happen by calling Adadec at 285-4239. Adadec doesn't just build decks. Of course, we can build your new deck or renovate your old one, but we also build beautiful screen porches, open porches, sunrooms, and other room additions, and have been for over 25 years. We can design it, build it, and turn your dream into reality. Visit Adadec on the web at adadec.com or call 285-4239 today. That's 285-4239 for additions and decks by Adadec.
To all hand wringers, nail biters, cold sweaters, and breath holders, we have good news. CarMax is a stress-free zone. We've got an amazing selection with fair, no-haggle prices for everyone, every day, and a 5-day money-back guarantee. So, when it comes to car buying, there's really nothing to stress about, which kind of leaves you with nothing to do. Sorry about that. Bears are pretty scary. You could stress about that. CarMax, the bright side of car buying.
Joe's in Bon Air is proud to support University of Richmond basketball. Join us Monday evenings during the college basketball season at 5:30 for the live broadcast of the Spider SportsLine, featuring head coach Chris Mooney and player guests. And remember, kids eat free all day, every Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy one free kids meal per paid adult entree or sandwich. Joe's in Bon Air is located in the Bon Air Shopping Center at the corner of Buford Road and Forest Hill Avenue, and at joesinbonair.com.
It's the best part of Monday. Talking Richmond basketball with Coach Mooney and his special guest. This is the Spider SportsLine live from Joe's in Bon Air on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5.
Welcome back to Joe's in Bon Air, home of the Spider SportsLine. While I'm thinking about that, though, we are not here next week. No show next Monday night. The Spiders are on the road playing a somewhat unusual Tuesday night game at Davidson next week. So no Spider SportsLine next Monday night while we're traveling. We'll be back, obviously, in 2 weeks. Spiders are at St. Louis Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. That game is on television in our region. We've gotten it on Masson 2. If you get Masson, you get Masson 2 as well. It's a Fox Sports Midwest St. Louis production, but you will get the telecast on Masson 2 Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and then home Saturday at 6 o'clock, our Hall of Fame game against Fordham. A few tickets remain for that game, but not many. We are expecting a sellout. You can get them online right now at richmondspiders.com. Call the ticket office tomorrow, 1-877-SPIDER-1, or stop by, but only a few tickets remain for the Fordham game Saturday night at 6 o'clock. All right, our special guests tonight, as we said, we're going to go behind the scenes with Spider basketball. Welcome a couple newcomers to Coach Mooney's staff. Steve Thomas is one of our Director of Basketball Operations, and Calvin Hunt is our video coordinator. Chris, by way of introduction of these guys, tell us a little bit about them as you know them, and also the positions that they hold, because I don't think the titles quite do them justice in all the job responsibilities that they have.
No question, Bob. Well, Steve Thomas is from South Jersey, Bob. So that's that's good.
Point in his favor.
Yeah.
What's that, Steve? I'm sorry.
It's the home state of Princeton.
It's close to Philly.
Yeah. So Steve, in the Director of Basketball Operations, I would say that that job has. It's probably, I'm not sure exactly how old it is. I don't know if Coach Beeline had a Director of Basketball Operations. I'm sure Coach Tarrant or Coach Dooley probably did not.
Nope.
And so
I don't think Coach Beeline did, actually.
Oh, is that right?
No,
okay.
I don't think so.
So the job responsibility, in a way, we try to have everybody do as much as you can to make Richmond basketball better. But the responsibilities that Steve would have directly would include recruiting support, camp, travel support, everything that has to do with practice, some video, supporting and scouting. And so literally touching every part of the program. And that's the way we've really tried to do it, where that we could have everyone be involved in every single thing. And so there are some NCAA rules that restrict how much these guys could, say, be on the court, or Steve couldn't go out to evaluate a player to recruit, and Calvin couldn't, be on the court instructing guys going to the scouting report, but they can assist in most of those things during the course of the day. And then I would also say developing and maintaining a great relationship with the guys. We're very aware that the guys that we have are away from home, and their parents have trusted us with them, and I think it's important that that they understand how much we're there for them when we care about them. And I think these guys, especially because they're not going to be recruiting and be on the road, that they're taken care of. And I think maintaining that relationship with those players is very, very important.
All right, let's introduce you to both of them and get some comments from each of them. Let me start with Steve, since we were talking about him first. You were at Virginia Tech most recently before you came here, Oregon before that. What attracted you to the Richmond basketball program?
Primarily, I would say Coach Mooney and the success he's had here and the program that he's built over time. Didn't know Coach before. He called me about the job, and I knew about the program and the success and everything, but really getting to know him and the staff really drew me in when it came about.
What do you think your job description is? Now that we've heard it from the boss, let's find out from the guy who has to handle all these details.
It's funny because the boss is never wrong, so he's 100% right. And
hired the right guy, Chris.
It pretty much, he is right. It's everything but allowed to go on the road recruiting, because of the NCAA rules. But, really important to take care of everything so he has nothing to worry about except what's done on the court with the guys. And, really developing a relationship with all the players, new guys and the guys that have been here, and, just really working with them on a day-to-day basis and making sure the staff has everything that they need in order to, help us get more wins.
How would you characterize our guys? You've been around other programs, obviously. What would your characteristics be of the Richmond Spider guys?
They're all great guys. It's funny. This is my third program, and there's always somebody that's kind of similar, and everywhere you go, there's always the jokester, the guy that's not too sharp, the guy that's that's a sucker for all the jokes. It's just the same no matter what. And I think that's the same everywhere, whether it's at the pro level or the college or high school level. There's basketball. There's only a certain amount of slots, and everybody has a role to fill. So.
You want to name names?
That's all right. No comment.
I figured we could take this talk show to a different level.
Yeah.
Level with a little of that. All right, so you described Steve's position, Chris. How about Calvin's position now? We know the title is video coordinator, but you've expanded it beyond that.
Yes. So it was video coordinator years ago. The technology has really improved over the course of time. So you used to get the scouting on other teams, you would trade VHS tapes, and so you'd have to go through the schedule at the beginning of the year and find out everybody that St. Louis is playing. You write them a letter, and then as soon as they're done the game, they make copies of the tapes and send them to you. So and then you're sending your tapes out to 15 teams after every game. So that has really changed because now you can do all those games are uploaded online. Everybody pays a membership fee, and then you can download those games and evaluate or scout that way. So the video part of it is not nearly as involved as it has been in the past. Really, Calvin is statistically, I would guess that he's an expert in advanced statistics. Is that fair to say?
Expert might be a stretch. But,
So Calvin is graduated from Princeton, and his degree is in operations research and financial engineering. So they wanted me to major in that, but I declined.
And you majored
I taught
in
a few classes in that. But, yeah. And Calvin had contacted me about joining the staff, and he had a great job in Washington D.C. And so he came down, and we went over to the tavern, and so these advanced statistics, Bob's a big baseball fan. I'm a big baseball fan. Calvin is too. And we talked about the advanced statistics. And really, I told him how stupid those advanced statistics were for a couple of hours. Then the third hour, he told me how that they're that they can be relevant, and this is how you can look at them. And then he decided to join the staff, and he had a great job, and he's doing an incredible job for us. He's extremely bright. He's developed a tremendous relationship with the staff, with the players, and the things he puts together and the way he can encapsulate and evaluate certain things has been really, really important to us, and is really getting all of us, especially me, to see it that way much, much better.
All right, Calvin. All that having been said, this is a one-word question. Why? You had a great job. Why?
No, that's a great question. One that I'm sure my boss pondered for a long time after I left. But no, I think, first of all, maybe the willingness to sit through the 2-hour discussion of why the statistics are pointless. That's sort of an inkling of why. Really am. I just love basketball. A huge basketball fan. Grew up playing. Not quite good enough to play in college, but just really wanted to find my way into working in basketball. Tried right after college, didn't quite get an opportunity that I liked or that it was a good fit, but ended up working consulting. Enjoyed it well enough, worked in DC, worked on some great projects, but still always in the back of my mind I wanted to get back to basketball, and this was just a great opportunity, and I've been so thankful for Coach Mooney's support and willingness to have that initial conversation and kind of go from there.
Let me just read this. How many of you have read Calvin's bio on our website? All right, let me just try this. Hunt built a probabilistic model to estimate clients' cyber attack risk. While at the company, he spent time assessing ROI of various IT solutions and used different tool dashboards to aggregate and analyze differing data sets. Huh?
Is that Steve? Hold on, is that Steve's or is that?
It's a little bit different than basketball. That's for sure.
What does all that mean?
Sure.
I'll take it, Calvin.
Yeah. So really the heart of it was trying to figure out for our clients how much cybersecurity risk do you have, because that's going to help them figure out what type of investments to make. A big new topic now is cybersecurity insurance. So do you buy cybersecurity insurance based on how much risk you have? All these really complex questions the executives of companies are trying to figure out. So our team was tasked, not just me. I know the bio might read it, but our team was tasked with trying to build models behind that to assess that risk and help those executives answer those questions.
Wow.
Incredible.
Really interesting stuff. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back with more for Steve Thomas and Calvin Hunt going behind the scenes with Spider Basketball on tonight's Spider Sportsline from Joe's Inn on the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Luck Chevrolet is celebrating their 100-year anniversary, and they're going to use their century of experience to help you find your next Silverado, Suburban, Impala, Malibu, or Equinox. Luck Chevrolet uses their vast knowledge of GM vehicles to help you maintain and service your vehicle to keep it on the road longer and help maintain its value. So for Chevrolet sales, service, or parts, go where experience reigns supreme. Luck Chevrolet in Ashland and online at luckchevrolet.com. Proud to be family owned since 1916.
Need a good price on tires with great service? Visit Dyke Tire, your locally owned Tire Pros dealer, for all your car care needs. Our services start with a full line of tires for your car and truck, including Michelin and BF Goodrich. We work on all vehicles, from oil changes to repairs to your engine, that'll keep your car safe on the road. Dyke Tire Pros is a proud supporter of the University of Richmond Spiders. Visit Dyke Tire Pros in Richmond today or online at dyketire.com.
Hey guys, this is Big Al, and I want to talk to you about something serious: prostate cancer. 1 in 7 of us will develop it. I know firsthand because I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Fortunately, I was diagnosed early, and when caught early, it's treatable. I went to Virginia Urology, where my doctor discussed my options, listened to my concerns, and took care of me in a thorough and professional manner. So if you're over 40, have a family history, or are African American, you need to talk to your doctor about an annual prostate cancer screening. Call Virginia Urology, 288-0339, or go to virginiaurology.com.
It's a Hoops Happy Hour. This is the Spider Sports Line, live from Joe's Inn, Bon Air. Once again, here's Bob with Coach Mooney on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5 and the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Welcome back, Spider Sports Line, live from Josie and Bon Air. We're here each and every Monday night, except next Monday night. As we mentioned, we're on the road, so we won't be there be here next Monday night. We'll be back after that, the remainder of the college basketball season. Steve Thomas, Director of Basketball Ops, and Calvin Hunt, Spider Video Coordinator and Analytics Director. I just made that up for you.
Thanks, Bob.
Calvin, I don't know if I get you any more money, but nice title. Put it on your business card. Do people still use business cards? I don't even know. Steve, you're one of two Directors of Basketball Operations, Ryan Butler being the other one. How do you share duties with Ryan? How much has he kind of guided you along the way? Because he's become a sage veteran of the Director of Basketball Operations world for Coach Mooney and the Spiders.
Now he's been great with coming in at the time that I came in late September, early October. A lot of things were already moving and rolling and everything. So Ryan has been tremendous in helping me get adjusted, and not only at work but out of work, because he's what I designate as the future mayor of Richmond. He knows everybody, everything, and every side street and road to go, and he's unbelievable. So it's been great. We've really been good working with him.
What is your background? Calvin was telling us a little bit about his. Give us your collegiate and basketball background.
Yeah, so after I turned down Princeton, I decided to go to school. Princeton was a little too far north, so I stayed South Jersey at Rowan University. Played Division III basketball there, which was great and close to home. And my wife actually went to Rowan University, but I didn't know her when I was at school, so that's kind of a weird thing because it's big, but not that big. So
yeah, absolutely.
I was studying most of the time in the library. I must have missed her. So.
That's a pretty good D3 basketball program, as I know. And in fact, I'm going to give away a couple tickets. Let's see how smart. Either somebody in the house if you need them, or on the phone. This could get a little ugly. 622-0950. Mitchell, I just gave you a handful more of tickets for Saturday's game against Fordham, which we said is close to a sellout. There is a coach in the Atlantic 10 who actually previously coached at Rowan University. He did not coach Steve Thomas, but he coached at Rowan. I'm going to try and give the listeners first shot at it. 622-0950. Matt, you've got the answer. If you'll just take it off air, and if you get it, just let me know. If not, we'll open it up to the folks here in the restaurant. An Atlantic 10 coach who coached at Rowan University, didn't coach Coach Thomas. In fact, I think the two of you just met for the first time this year, if I'm not mistaken. So that kind of narrows it down to the teams we've already played, which is almost all of them at this point. Coaching, is this something that you want to stick with and get into, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the reason why I came here, to learn from Coach. I've had the opportunity to work for two other great coaches, and then the opportunity came for Coach Mooney, so it was a no-brainer. So, the Princeton offense, and as you can see, we've implemented the Rowan 3-2 zone. So it's
because it worked.
Everything's
right?
really clicking right now. So.
I think they have an opportunity for stand-up comedians here at Joe's Inn on Friday and Saturday nights. If you'd like to come back and do that, you're doing very well.
Absolutely.
Very well here on a Monday night. Somebody in the audience who actually just left, though, asked me to ask you if there are any Buzz Williams stories you'd like to tell.
We'd probably
comedy,
be here until Friday or Saturday night if I started telling them. Buzz was great. I can't thank him enough. He's unbelievable coach, unbelievable guy. He was tremendous to me and my family. And, when the opportunity came with Coach, he was just unreal with helping me get the job and really hyping me up to Coach. And, it was just, I can't thank him enough for everything. What he's doing there and turning that thing around. And it was a lot of hard work, long hours last year working for him. And I can't begin to thank him enough for everything that I've learned during my time.
Chris, was there a reference you had to get from Buzz Williams before hiring Steve, or did you pretty much just full bore go get him?
No, definitely. I talked to Buzz right away, and I had heard of Steve through a mutual friend, and so I called Buzz, and for 20 minutes, Buzz praised Steve, and it wasn't, because it was already the fall, it wasn't a great time for him to lose a member of his staff, but he was enthusiastic and how much he praised Steve.
Hey, side note, real quick. Obviously, the opening came at Richmond because we lost a director of basketball operations in Kevin Smith, who went to be an assistant coach at Campbell. How's he doing? Have you heard?
He's doing great. Yeah, Kevin McGeehan, who's the head coach, has just raved about him and said just has really energized their staff and their program as you would expect Smitty to do. So he's doing great, and I think he's Smitty will have he'll be a skyrocket. He'll go through the coaching career very quickly, or up the coaching ladder very, very quickly with his personality and his energy and his passion. So this is not that Kevin's looking forward to losing him, but I'm sure this is the first stop of a very fast rise.
All right, hey, we'll give our listening audience just a couple more minutes if they want to guess on the answer to the trivia question. There's a current Atlantic 10 head coach who coached at Rowan. In fact, he won a national championship at the D3 level at Rowan. If you've got it, 622-0950. We got a couple tickets to Saturday's game against Fordham. If not, we'll give them away here in the restaurant. I know somebody in the house has the answer. I can see the look in their eyes already. So, Calvin, when I asked Steve if this is what he wanted to do and stay in basketball, I think that was a predictable answer. He's a director of basketball ops. Certainly you move on like Kevin Smith did. You coach. The position you are in now, is this something you foresee yourself continuing to build a career around?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think, no matter where it ends up being, I think I'd love to kind of get closer with a coaching staff, and maybe that's not coaching necessarily, but something like a director of basketball operations would be appealing. Also, on the analytics side, I mean, that's such a growing field for a lot of teams. A lot of coaching staffs have a really strong interest in that, and so the demand is there in a lot of places for somebody to kind of take that on, and that's really ideally where I'd like to kind of progress.
Give us an example of some analytical statistic that you've given Coach Mooney and the staff. What do you got? Give us a nugget. Give us something that you're giving the brain trust here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a good one would be one we just discussed actually, and talking about how we defend pick and roll, and when the ball handler comes off the pick and roll, how effective we've been defensively at doing that, and kind of where we rank. And unfortunately, as you know, the tape might show too, just from people watching, we're in the bottom 50 in the country of defending it when the ball handler uses the pick and roll and tries to score, and that comes out to about 0.9 points per possession. And really to break that down, it doesn't seem like a big number, but when you add up 60 odd possessions a game, and so many pick and rolls per game, it really does add up, especially over the course of a season. So what we kind of decided was, let's look at the teams who have been effective at the pick and roll based on points per possession. Let's look at their tape and see if there's anything that we need to either emphasize or just how to kind of think about this. And I think that's an interesting point too, because it's you can't look at the analytics alone, and I think this is something Coach Mooney and I have talked about a lot. You really need to integrate it with film study and that eye test that you kind of hear about as just the coach's gut. You want both of those to kind of talk to each other to come to a better answer.
Chris, how have you digested all of this? I've known you as a coach who doesn't necessarily pore over that stat sheet, even the traditional stat sheet that we have up on the computer screen, that you don't always dive into it, that it is more the eye test and other things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think I think number one, there's a great room for both. I feel like statistics can sometimes be misleading, and if you're not watching and really engage with what you're watching, statistics could prove something that you want them to, and you're not necessarily, you could find the statistics to prove what you wanted to see or what you wanted to have to believe. So, but I think there really is room for both, and I think Calvin, more and more is helping me to understand that. It's not so much that I don't like statistics or care about statistics. It's just more, there are so many different factors that go into winning and losing, or making or missing a shot, or how your defense is playing, than just statistics. And so I never want to get wrapped up in just, well, this guy is averaging the most points, or this guy is, this lineup is doing the best. There are always reasons why that might happen, and but I recognize how effective they are, especially the stats that Calvin is using, because they call them advanced stats or metrics, and they're just a little bit, they're trying to get to the bottom of it a little bit more, not just the traditional stats that we have, which are important, but get to the bottom of it a little bit more. And so when he took that ball screen defense, he then had tape of the 4 teams who are guarding the ball screen the best statistically, and then we look at that and say, well, what do they have in common? Are they just extremely quick, where they can switch everything? Are they playing the same set guys? But what do 4 teams have in common with how they're guarding the ball screen and finding success?
Wow, that's really interesting. It sounds like a good Spider TV feature too, Will Bryan, behind the scenes as the coaches break it down with the tape and with the analytics. Let's wrap it up with Calvin and Steve. Couple more minutes with them. What's it been like on the bench, Calvin? I mean, Steve's coming from other programs, from Tech and from Oregon. You're coming from the business world in Washington, D.C. What's it been like being a part of the staff on the bench in the heat of battle, night in and night out?
It's a great feeling. It's definitely different from watching a game on TV, obviously, and it's the energy, the atmosphere is terrific. I think I really enjoy kind of hearing during timeouts and things like that. First, the discussion among the coaches, and then the discussion among with the coaches to the players. And just kind of how you form the message and then how you deliver it. I think has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, I think that's certainly a fascinating, eye-opening part of what you do. All right, we did not get an answer from our listening audience, a couple incorrect ones. How about out here in the audience? Somebody raise your hand if you need a couple tickets all the way in the back. John Giannini from LaSalle. Got that, Steve? Is that correct?
That is 100% correct.
Absolutely correct. Won a national championship there, but you did not know him until we played them. Is that right?
Yep. So, Coach, he's kind of a legend at Rowan for winning the championship in '96. Right after that year, he took the job up at Maine, and Coach Cassidy, who was my coach, took over for the program. So, there wasn't much interaction between me and Coach G at the time, but I had the chance to cross paths with him at the Richmond game, so it was great, and he was unbelievable and positive and lit up when I told him I was a Rowan alum. So
probably doesn't come across too many of those in the Atlantic 10 battles.
No.
So, all right, got a couple tickets out there.
Go ahead.
I don't know if
Coach Cassidy, who is the current Rowan coach, was the St. Joe Hawk when he was in college. That's true.
Wow.
See, Coach ruined next week's trivia answer, so that's...
That's right. Be listening tonight. You could win tickets in a couple weeks. Here's another piece of trivia that I think you told me when we played LaSalle about the court at Rowan. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's the right school, right?
Yes.
What about the court at Rowan?
The court at Rowan is the court from Atlantic City where we won the Atlantic 10 championship against Dayton.
Why is that?
I don't know.
The original floor was damaged. I'm not sure if it was a finishing or if it was water damage, so they had to bring a court in for this season. So
I thought it was like ceremonial and they were going to keep it forever. Then,
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't.
Great court.
It's a great court.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. And I actually went and looked at some Rowan video to look at it.
You can tell, right?
And it has the Atlantic City logo still on there. Yes, you can very definitely tell.
Boardwalk Hall.
It still has, but it brings back fond memories for us. I can certainly tell you that. All right, fellas, we got to get out. We got a break to get to. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I know our fans were particularly enamored to get a little behind-the-scenes look at what you guys do, and they'll know who you are now on the bench when they see you at the Robins Center on Saturday night. Steve Thomas and Calvin Hunt, thanks very much for being our guests. We'll be back with more of our Spider Sports Line coming up after this on ESPN 950, Sports FM 100.5, and the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
U of R's Chris Mooney, VCU's Will Wade, two coaches squaring off to settle the debate once and for all. Who is the best cooking basketball coach in the RVA? Find out Thursday, April 21st at 6 p.m. during the 4th Annual Coaches Cook-Off at the Science Museum of Virginia. Get your tickets today and support the Spiders, Coach Mooney, and Max's Positive Vibe Cafe's training program for people with disabilities. Enjoy hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and fun while finding out who's the best cooking coach in the kitchen. Tickets for the 4th Annual Coaches Cook-Off are available online at PositiveVibeCafe.com or at the Positive Vibe Cafe. Get yours today.
Hello, Spider Nation. Bob Black here. As the voice of the Spiders, I see day in and day out what it takes to get ahead of the competition. UPS's team of experts is no different. They offer the tools, advice, and insights to help your small business stay on point. Visit ups.com/startups to find out more. UPS, official logistics company of Richmond Athletics.
Can you handle a full rack? Buzz can. He's been smoking, chopping, saucing, and glazing barbecue his way for over 30 years, specializing in succulent spare, tender baby back, and jumbo beef ribs with recipes handed down for generations. And don't forget about the award-winning pulled pork sandwiches, cooked daily over Buzz's signature hickory smoked wood. Stop by the original location at 1119 North Boulevard in the Fan, or the new Buzz and Ned's Real Barbecue at 8205 West Broad Street in the West End.
Richmond Spiders basketball on ESPN 950 and ESPN950AM.com is brought to you by Geico Insurance. Get a free quote online, day and night at Geico.com. You're listening to the Spider Sports Line with men's basketball coach Chris Mooney and the voice of the Spiders, Bob Black. Live from Joe's Inn, Bon Air on the Spider IMG Sports Network. Powered by Ace Electric.
Welcome back to Joe's in Bon Air. Got about 5 to 7 minutes or so remaining in the program tonight. Again, really want to thank Calvin Hunt and Steve Thomas for being our special guests here this evening. Go behind the scenes with Spider basketball. We'll get our players back in here in a couple of weeks. And again, just to remind you, not here again next week because we're on the road. The Davidson game is on a Tuesday night on the road. So let's go back and scout a little bit about what the Spiders have coming up this week with St. Louis starting on Wednesday night. And Chris, I happened to ask you just before we came on the air if you watched them yesterday. They were on TV against St. Bonaventure. I'm sure you'll see the game eventually, but you didn't see it live. But I got to tell you, it certainly opened my eyes how hard they played. You mentioned that earlier, how well they played. And I mean, had Jalen Adams not made really, really difficult three to win the game, they very easily could have won that game.
Yeah, exactly. They have, I would say they've been somewhat up and down. But, again, you know, since Coach Majerus was there and Coach Cruz, they have played so hard. And even the game last year, I think they started a couple of freshmen, and it was the last game of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
They had not had a very good year, and we were playing for the fourth seed or the top 4 seed in the conference tournament. And I felt like in that game that we were the better team, but and we pulled away and kind of won the game handily. But they played so hard. I mean, so noticeably hard, and it's been like that since Coach Majerus took over. So I think you always know that's what you're going to get. Their defense and their scouting is second to none, and it's just going to be very important to. On the road, always is difficult and a challenge, but it's going to be very important to play our game and make sure that we're moving. We're so much better. Most teams are, but I think we're so much better when we're really moving the ball and really moving around and playing together. And I don't think there are too many times where we're just lazy or standing around, but there are times where we could do much better. And I think once, I thought. TJ and Julius had a give and go in the game on Saturday. Julius made a really nice cut. I thought from then on, our cutting and our movement was much better. And I'm happy that happened for Julius, and it's good that a freshman could have that kind of an impact. But I think that's really, really critical for us more than anybody.
Absolutely. I know we take them one game at a time, so this is more philosophical than like X's and O's of Fordham, but that'll be the first of the teams that you'll play for a second time. How does that differ your game preparation, and have you learned over the years that the guys are a little more in tune because they've already played them once?
Yes, definitely. And this is the way it kind of used to be. You play everybody twice, and it was more common. Now it's to go so long without playing anyone twice, and to still be playing. St. Louis will only play them once. So I think so. I think when number one, when we go and show the scouting tape, we use most of the clips from our game, so that refreshes their memory. When we talk about the guys, that refreshes their memory. So they can see that, and then they also know what the game felt like. And Fordham plays a style that's super aggressive defensively and really trying to trap you at different times and come at you at different angles, almost unexpectedly. And so I think that is important, and it is valuable for our guys. I feel like the team that lost the first game always has somewhat of an advantage, but it is helpful to know, hey, this is the guy they have, and when he catches the ball here, he likes to do this. There's more of not they don't believe you, but there's more evidence in their own memory.
Hey, we mentioned that St. Louis, back to them, had just barely lost to St. Bonaventure. The three-point shot by Jalen Adams that won it at the buzzer. Jalen Adams wound up winning Player of the Week honors. We certainly would have lobbied for our T.J. Klein. I think when that ball went in, it pretty much sealed it for Adams. You got to kind of tip your cap to him on that. But what a great week for T.J. to have 29 in the Mason game, come back with 24. And I mean this with all due respect, but the play that great job by T.J. Certainly, deserving of consideration for Player of the Week for what he did. The play that we started the whole broadcast with, that when he dove on the floor, to me the T.J. part of that was eye-opening. Not that he doesn't normally dive on the floor, but Quan Ford to me seems like a guy who is going to dive on the floor. T.J. plays the game more up towards the rim than on the floor. I was even more impressed by T.J. than I was by Quan.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny you mentioned that because I just talked about that with T.J. and use Quan as the example.
Yeah.
When you're smaller guy, quick, low to the ground, there are chances for those hustle plays to have really positive results a lot. When you're a big guy, it's sometimes it's not going to work out as well for you. Long way to go to get down there, but that was a great play. And those are the kinds of plays. I mean, here we are talking about it days later. Those are the kind of plays that energize a team. And when those things happen, everybody takes notice. Everybody steps up their game, and everybody feels good about it. So you just can't have enough of those plays during the course of a game.
Hey, here's what I was going to ask you real quick. The music is going. Did you know Terry Allen only had 9 points at the end of the game yesterday?
No, I had no idea. I had no idea. Did you know?
Yes, of course we knew.
Well, you got the stats right.
You should have seen the look on Will Bryant's face when he didn't get to 10.
Is that right?
Oh, man. It was like his Panthers had lost the Super Bowl or something. Oh, wait a minute. That did happen. Sorry, Will.
Wow.
What a tough way to end this show, huh? All right. Thanks, Coach. We'll see you here in 2 weeks. We'll see you in St. Louis on Wednesday at the Robbins Center Saturday. Thanks, Coach.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks again to our special guests, Calvin Hunt, Steve Thomas, for being with us tonight. And to all of you, please take care of your servers tonight. They've been working hard for you. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks. See you at the Robbins Center on Saturday night. Few tickets remain for that game. Get them quick. We expect it to be a sellout. And we'll talk to you from St. Louis Wednesday night, 7:30 our airtime, 8 o'clock Eastern. Game time against the Billikens. Mitchell Bradley, Matt Josephs have been our producers in the studio and on location. Thanks to them. Bob Black saying so long for the Spider Sports Line.
Chris Mooney. Tonight's show has been brought to you by UPS, Joe's in Bon Air, home of the Spider Sports Line, Lux Chevrolet, Positive Vibe Cafe, and by CarMax. Join us Monday evenings during drive time, 5:30 to 6:30, throughout the college basketball season at Joe's in Bon Air.
Danny Mooney? Hello?